Hey, this is Backcountry Outdoors, and we're going to come to you with a video today on my setups, what I use and to paint lures with. First thing is my air compressor, and we're going to unlock my tripod. We're going to go over here. This is my air compressor right here, and this is a big air compressor. It is 30 gallon, so I can paint several lures without having to cut this thing on. A lot of times you'll see me in the video, if it cuts on, I'll reach over and I'll cut it off because I have plenty of air to keep painting. And in this air compressor, I got a hose coming out, and it goes over to one of these. And this is a water separator that I run. And as far as my PSI, I run somewhere around 25 PSI that I normally paint with. I run two hoses because I run multiple. I run several different airbrushes at once, so I've got several hoses coming down through here. Usually at least running two. It helps a lot if you've got multiple air hoses, and especially if you're doing a lot of painting. If you're painting one here or there, it's not really important. You can get by with one, but if you're like me and you're painting multiple lures at one time, you'll definitely want to up your game as far as air hoses go and tank capacity. That's one reason why I run such a big tank, because I paint a lot of lures. If you're painting a lot of lures, I would suggest making sure you have a big enough air compressor to handle what you're doing. If you're just starting out and you're looking for kits, number one thing I would suggest is buy whatever you can afford, but as soon as you could, and I'd get an air compressor that has some sort of a tank, a storage capacity, whether it's 1 gallon, half a gallon, 6 gallon, whatever you can afford to buy to get you started, because if you're an outdoorsman, you're going to love doing this. So I would suggest as fast as possible to get you something with a tank on it, and that will help a lot. Alright, we've spun around, moved to the table now. So, you're going to need something to hold the lures with while you're painting them. Some people, alligator clips on one stick, kind of like what I use to dip in my KBS with. I prefer helping hands with the two alligator clips on them and the stand, and I can manipulate it any way I want to paint it. And if you're just starting out, you know, the Neo Echo, I've torture tested this thing. I've sprayed clear coats through it, and it still sprays good. This is about on the upper end of $40, like almost $50. And the Iwata Eclipse, if you're looking to spend a little bit of money, runs about 150 bucks on the high end. You can catch them on sale sometime, buy them used, whatever. And this is, I wouldn't buy a cheap airbrush used, but the Iwatas, I wouldn't mind buying used because the parts are readily available everywhere. You can get them and rebuild them if you had to. Their parts are easy to get because there's a lot of them out there. Paints. I got several different paints that I use. Createx brand is probably one of the best paints out there on the market. They spray good, they're easy to use, but they're kind of expensive. Then you got your, this is Bombay, Dr. Martin's Indian inks. The Indian inks are very, very expensive. This is, I buy these off Amazon. It's US Art Supply. And they are pretty cheap. And they work very well. So if you're looking for something cheap to start off with, look on Amazon and eBay for US Art Supply. Pretty good paint. Airbrush ready to already thin. You can put it in there and spray it in most occasions. I cannot pronounce the stupid name of this stuff, but I got it off of Amazon, and see if I can get this camera to focus on it. But it's a pretty decent little paint off of Amazon. It's ROIZEFAR, airbrush paint. Does pretty good. Once you get your air compressor, get it set up, then you're going to start spraying around 25. I'd start off at 25 psi. Some folks like to paint around 35, 30, 15. It's all preference from there on what you want to paint with, you know, what you get used to, accustomed to, how you thin your paints, if you don't thin your paints, if you do thin your paints, how much you thin your paints, how much air pressure you're going to use, and that's something you'll play with over the years and get down the path of what you like to use. As far as thinners goes, me personally, I've always used distilled water. I buy gallons of distilled water and I use that to thin my paints. I've never had any issues with it. Airbrush cleaner. I don't buy airbrush cleaner, I make my own. I use a little bit of non-ammonia Windex and some little alcohol and a little bit of mineral oil that goes into the mixture, and that keeps my needle lubed up and keeps the airbrush clean. And I've been using some of my airbrushes for years and never had an issue out of it. Never had to rebuild any, never had any O-rings go bad. Besides a couple I've had to replace in these, and a couple on the Iwatas. Other than that, that's it. I mean, very rarely do I have to break up and actually fix the airbrush. They hold up fairly well. I've had to buy a needle or two because I've dropped them and bent the needle. You know, that's about it as far as repair on the airbrushes. My lures, a lot of them I buy from a company called Sugar Tit Custom Lures, and I love their lures. I buy some off of Amazon. If Sugar Tit don't have what I need or what I'm wanting at the time, I'll go to Amazon. I have bought from Temu. I've bought from everybody, and I've not had an issue out of anybody's lures that I've bought yet. They all fish good. They all do good. I keep a good supply of different ones. I buy a lot of smaller lures, and the reason why I buy a lot of the small ones like this is because of my location where I'm at. A lot of people like these. I just had somebody to come nearly clean me out yesterday, so this is what they wanted. They wanted the small ones, yellow and black, yellow and black, yellow and black, because that's what the striped bass are hitting right now here in Georgia. The smaller lures, yellow and black. That's what folks are wanting right now. Another big question I get: can you make a living off of making lures? The market's too saturated right now. Do I make a little money? Yes, I make enough to pay for what I put in my tackle box, but as far as making big money, no. I don't make no big money off of making the lures. I do sell a good bit, but not enough to quit my day job and do it full time. No. It makes me a little spending money, that's it. To clean my airbrushes, I use distilled water, because I buy a bunch of it and keep it down here in the shop with me. A lot of people will ask questions about mid coats. Me personally, I do not use mid coat. I dry my lures with my hair dryer, or I let them sit and air dry before they go in the KBS, or before I put a stencil on them. And y'all guys know that I use the little crochet things, wooden and plastic, to put my stencils in, and that helps a lot of not scratching up your paint job on your lure, because you got your lure up here and you just holding it up there and spraying it. That helps not scratch up the paint. So I don't have to use mid coats, because I've had trouble with some mid coats crackling my paint up. Some paints don't like the polyurethanes and they'll crack, and I've never had the issue with the KBS cracking any of my paints. So I try to not use a mid coat unless I have to, and if I do, then I usually just try to let it air dry just a little bit and get it in the KBS as quick as possible. If I don't and have to let it sit overnight, I'm really cautious about it, and I'll look that lure over, because like I say, I have had cracking issues. Alright, we'll get a lure set up here, and we'll paint and go over some stuff on the airbrush. Alright, I got some white Createx opaque white in the airbrush, and like I said, we are spraying at around 25 psi. And usually I do not thin my base coat, because usually in the whatever I'm spraying with for my base coat, it's going to have a 0.5 needle in it. That's really why I'm running multiple airbrushes, is so I can run different thickness of paints. And I like my base coat to go on nice and thick and heavy and get a good cover with it. And on this, a lot of the airbrushes I run, the Neo Echo and the GSI Creos, they all have MAC valves on them, so you can even more fine tune your air pressure if you want to. A lot of times I don't even mess with them. I set my air pressure on my gauge and run with it at that 25 psi. Alright, we'll get another color loaded up and we'll keep going further. Alright, now I've got some yellow loaded up. Of course we're going to go yellow and black, because that's what's selling right now. So I've got to keep up with supply and demand. And I'm using the Createx, and this is taking a minute to focus. It is the Wicked colors, and I'm going to tell you something about the Wicked colors. It is a thicker paint. If you're not spraying through a 0.5, and sometimes different ones of them have trouble with the 0.5, I always thin them. Always thin these. If you're looking for a paint you don't have to thin, and you're looking for a Createx, the transparents work good without thinning. They're a thinner paint. I've had no trouble with these. I can spray any of the transparents like the blue. They work great with not having to thin those out. So we got our stencil here. Where do we get our stencils from? Well, some of them we buy, some we buy very few, but this one I actually made, and this is just out of Mylar. And we dotting him up yellow. making us a little Easter egg color here. Alright, we'll get another color loaded up and get it in the airbrush and paint her up. Alright, we got some black, transparent black Createx loaded up in our Neo Echo, and we're going to do the same thing with our little stencil. And I did dry this white with my hair dryer before I started laying the stencil down. A little dark right here around the eyes. See if we can get this thing to focus on it. If I can hold it still enough. There we go. Then you can see the little black and yellow spots on him. And this one is for the guy that come bought him. He wanted some darker lures with the yellow. So I darkened up around the eyes, a little darker on the sides, little yellow spots with a little white showing through, white belly, and see how he likes that. Alright, now we're going to pick out some eyes for him. Where did I buy my eyes? I buy my eyes from a lot of different places. Amazon probably the biggest one. I buy kits of them a bunch at a time. And depending on the lure, I'll just match up the eye. Yep, that's big enough. I use the Loctite super glue, gel glue, and I just put a tiny bit in this eye socket. Then I take my tweezers. I got it on my tweezers. Ooh, went too fast. And that gets him a little eye in there. We'll put the other little eye in there, and then we'll dip him in some KBS. And with the super glue, I'm just ensuring, you know, as I'm fishing, that these eyes don't pop out on me, because that KBS does a lot to help hold these eyes in there. If you ever see me not put eyes on it and I dip it in the KBS, that usually means I'm going to put a second coat of KBS on my lure. Good smelling stuff. Good smelling stuff. I'm just joking, it smells horrible. dip him in. Let him drip off a little bit. If I hold it real still, it does focus, maybe. There we go. And out of focus. Focus. This thing don't like close-ups. But there we go. You can see him right there pretty good. And what I do is I hang them up and let them dry. Somebody asked a question the other day, is how do you keep your eyelets, the KBS out of it? I don't. I just take a little bit small drill bit and clean them out after it's dried. There is ways of doing it that I used to. I would take and stick some little toothpicks in there, and the KBS would stick to it and then keep the hole clear, but it's just as fast for me to take a small little 1/16 drill bit and run it through it real quick and be done with it. Sometimes I don't get a lot in there, sometimes none at all. It just depends on how the KBS is that day. The humidity, everything plays effect with how paints and stuff dry, of course. So sometimes you get none in the eyelets at all, and I do leave my tape on there because it keeps the bill kind of cleaner, and I don't have to do any sanding on the bill to get the KBS off of it. Any buildup where it runs down on the tape, and that keeps me from having to do any sanding. My cleaner, this is my homemade cleaner I keep in this bottle here that I run through the airbrushes every once an occasion. I like these bottles. These is the ones I use to clean in between paints. You can get these on Amazon, Temu, eBay, everywhere, supply houses. Just about anywhere they've got these little bottles, and this is what I recommend for cleaning out in between, because you can get down into the bottom of the airbrush and really clean it out, and it does really good. This little bottle right here, I keep several of them with the little needles on them. That way I can easily drop water for my mixing of my paints. So if I want to mix some paints and I put 5 drops of paint in there, and I want a 1-to-1 ratio, I drop 5 drops of water in there. It makes it a whole lot easier with these. I buy these off of Amazon also. So you can buy this stuff off of Amazon, different places, to get you started. And I suggest if you're thinking about this Neo Echo airbrush here, I wouldn't buy it off Amazon. I would actually go to their website. It's cheaper on their website. Just type in, if you go to Google and type in Neo Echo, you can actually get it a little cheaper there than you can on Amazon. It'll save you about $5. Especially if they're still running. I haven't looked if they're running the free shipping. If you have any questions, always feel free to shoot them in the comments, because I'll answer. Might take me a couple days, but I will answer. Alright, I'll get it spun back around here and we'll talk a little more. Alright, that does it for our little paint job discussion for today. And I will tell you, if you're just starting off, you're going to mess up. There's going to be days that you're going to mess up. You're going to think, golly, I just spent all this time painting this lure and I have messed it up. Don't worry about it. You're the one painting it. You can repaint it. Or incorporate the mess up into the paint scheme. You know, if you got a chip in the paint or a scratch in the paint, paint it red, make it look like a wound. There's a lot of stuff you can do to cover up your mess ups. And if you, like me, and real picky about it, you can start back over. It is aggravating, but as time goes on, you'll get better. It takes time. It takes practice. Don't get frustrated. If, like I say, if you're doing this to make a living off of it, probably, I doubt it. Unless you're really good or know a lot of people. And I just don't know a lot of people to sell to. I live in a very small town, and there's just not a lot of business here for it. But I just enjoy doing it, and I hope you enjoy the videos, and keep hitting that subscribe button, hit the like buttons, and shoot me them comments. I don't mind answering. I still work a day job, but when I get home at night, the first thing I look at is my YouTube and make sure nobody's asking me questions. And if you got them, I'm going to answer them. And if I can't answer it, then I'll go to some of my buddies that's done this for years also, and I'll ask them, hey, do you know this question? Have you ever had this question? Have you ever had this happen? Because there's things that you're going to have questions about, and I'll be happy to try to answer them. And I thank you for hitting the subscribe button, all of my subscribers as of now. I appreciate it, and I hope y'all keep enjoying the videos I make, and hope you learn something. Backcountry out.